Hello and welcome into another edition of Transfer Central, brought to you by LFC Transfer Room. Joining me, Matty, today, I've got Damon and GA. How are you today, Damon?
All good, mate. All good. Ready for this heat wave. So, going to be ready in a Liverpool shirt on Monday. So, yeah, let's get it.
What about you, Jay? Looking forward to the heat wave, 30 odd degrees in Liverpool on Monday?
To be honest, mate, I felt like that today. I've been out in the garden, mate. I've got one of them like t-shirt tan lines going on. So yeah, we've already had a bit of good weather up here, lad.
I hate it. I hate the sun. Hate it. I'd rather just be in the winter. But yeah, we've got three talking points really today. Starting with Amadou Onana, who's a little exciting young midfield prospect. But apparently we've got competition from West Ham, Arsenal and Forest. Can't say I've seen much of him. Damon, what about yourself?
Just a couple of clips. That's it. Not majorly enough to make, to think, oh, yeah, we'll go get him. But, nah, it's one of them, innit? I think you just got to just wait and see what he's like. I think if West Ham get him, I think, yeah, he might go up a price in like, 3-4 years. So I can't see us getting him. I think that's just maybe his agent speaking to get West Ham more involved, I think.
Well, Jay, the Athletic have said that West Ham have seen a £25 million bid rejected for him. He is only 20. Can you see us spending more than
I don't
that?
know much about him, to be honest, lad, but it sounds like if West Ham have had a bid put in rejected and he's linked with Liverpool, it sounds like it's sort of a play to make West Ham pay what the club wants. And I imagine that's what it is, to be honest. I don't know too much about him, to be honest, all that, whether I can say he was like a good player or not. Just want to watch it, I imagine, but it's the first I've heard of it, so I imagine there is just his agent trying to get him a move.
I mean, it does look as though he plays in more of a defensive midfielder role, Damon. At some point, we probably will bring competition in for Fabinho. Do you think it has got a chance at maybe being this Onana? Or do you think it'll pretty much be, like you've already said, agent talk? But with us being our name being thrown in, there's probably the biggest team's name there. Do you think it's just maybe a play from his agent, maybe get a bigger contract at Lille?
That's what it probably is. Or like Jay said, a bigger offer from West Ham and a bigger contract offer for West Ham as well. Because if they know big clubs coming for him, if that's what they're thinking, they're thinking we're gonna have to top that. We're gonna have to top that with big money because, you don't want to get in a battle with a big club because at the end of the day, you're normally going to lose. So they're going to have to throw the money at West Ham. So that could be it. I do think we are in for a midfielder like that at some point because, I mean, Tchouaméni went for him, didn't we, at start? And he's more like a Fabinho role than what a Bellingham would be, if that makes sense. I'm surprised we haven't been linked with Sangare, to be honest. Was it My Night today linked with him?
Yeah.
It's definitely one that we should be looking at more, so...
Yeah, Jay played 8 times in the Champions League this year. Like in their group, they had Chelsea. He has got Champions League experience. 32 games in League One. Belgian international, only 20. Liverpool, it's perfect Liverpool signing, really, isn't it?
He just tick all the boxes in terms of that. If you can get players who are 2021 who've got actual Champions League experience, then it's always a plus. And I imagine he'd have been there when they won the league. I know, obviously, the French league isn't the strongest, but that makes it a little bit more impressive that Lille did win it because they shouldn't be winning it, but still managed to. So it is an area we need to start looking at eventually because the drop off, obviously, if Fabinho's not on the side, is quite big. I do think Enzo can play the 6, but obviously he's getting on now as well. So it is an area we definitely need to start looking at for probably next summer, to be honest. I don't think it's priority now, but probably want to keep an eye on Defo.
I mean, looking at his stats, Damon, he's ranking in the 90th percentile for most of his tackles and tackles won and stuff. And he's only ever dribbled past less than once a game, 0.78 times a game. It does feel like he is probably the perfect holding midfielder, really. His pressure stats and stuff aren't the best, but he probably shouldn't be in that position. Do you think it's maybe someone who we might let him get a move before he gets his big move? Maybe goes to West Ham and learns his trade a little further. I mean, he is only 20. It makes me feel sick looking at his date of birth, 2001, to be honest.
It does, doesn't it? I hate that, you know.
It is a tricky one, isn't it? Because you can't really say, well, it's just the league earned, because at the end of the day, we got Fabinho from there. So, you know, you've got to look at it as a whole, haven't you? You got to trust these scouts have done the work, and they did the work on Fabinho, and Fabinho came within a day. Man United wanted him, Arsenal wanted him, and we just snooped him up in like a day, and then look what he's turned out to be. I mean, I think obviously we knew Fabinho, we don't know this guy, but we didn't expect Fabinho to be like this. Not the best DM in the world. Yeah. So you just got to trust what the scouts are doing. If he's the guy that they bring in, they bring him in. See what he's do.
One thing that stands out for me when I'm looking at his stats here, Jay, is he's won 63% of his aerial duels in every game he played last year. It ranks him in the top 87% of players in the world in that position. And he wins on average 2.2 tackles per game, ranking him in the 92nd percentile of best players in the world in his position. He sounds very exciting. I consider I haven't seen anything on him. He looks exciting.
Same, mate. Like I say, I haven't seen much of him, but all the things you're saying, obviously, tick boxes. He's 20. I always think if you're not old midfielder, if you're good in the air and big, it's a massive advantage to have. I know, obviously, you think Kante being one of the best in the world in that position, and he's not tall, but I think that's where one of Fabinho's strengths comes in. He's aerially dominant 90% of the time, and obviously, if he's not, he's got them two at the back who generally tidy everything up if he doesn't. But the fact he's a Belgian international as well, I think, makes it a bit more exciting. Belgium have just got a wealth of talent everywhere, and I've done for about 10 years. So I think if you're 20, you're a Belgian international with Champions League experience, and you mention his tackling stats and stuff, he sounds like an exciting player. So yeah, one we should definitely keep an eye on, and who knows what'll happen.
Peter makes a good point here, Damon. We half need to get him in now before he goes to maybe another English side like West Ham, Nottingham Forest, and we pay 70 mil. I mean, you could hope that potentially Forest got him, he had a good season, and then he went down, so you got him on a cut price deal. But it is probably one of them, with the stats he's presenting, it looks as though it probably is one of them players who, wherever he goes next, they're going to sell him on for a substantial amount of profit.
That's what it is, isn't it? You got to take a chance on those sort of players, because at the end of the day, if someone like West Ham does play, you know, they're playing at a good level at West Ham. They're playing in the Premier League, you know, they're playing in Europe, so it's still gonna show across Europe, you know, what he can do. At West Ham is, you know, it's still got the wow factor there at West Ham. You know, it's better than playing at Fulham, where you're not really seen as much. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to Fulham, you know, but West Ham are out there a bit more than what Fulham are, so it's still got that sort of stage to really perform on. So yeah, I do think his money would go up. I think if it is for Liverpool to go get him, I think it would be to get him now.
Yeah, another player, Manuel mentions him, Antony and Matheus Nunes. We're going to speak on Nunes later on, but Antony, we'll move on to him, Jay. I'll start with you because I know Damon's probably got loads on him. Looks like we could potentially be interested in him. There is strong interest. They want about 69 million, but you could probably get him for about 59. Only 22 still, Brazilian. He is exciting. Meant to have been going to United. Look interested. Would you take him?
He's a proper exciting player. Fits the profile massively. Obviously, his age, his skill levels ridiculous. He's brilliant to the ball at his feet. But I don't think it's our priority. I don't see how we can spend another 50, 60 million on a forward player when we need a midfielder. Oxlade-Chamberlain's just shown that again this week. Not that I was relying on Oxlade-Chamberlain to be a starter next season or have a big impact, but he's injured again already. They haven't even started the season, so one midfielder that I can guarantee another midfielder will pick up enough early in the season, because that's just the way our midfielders are. So And he's an exciting player, he is. I'd love to snatch him off United because it just wound them up that we took Nunes and Antony. So it's got that plus side to it. I wouldn't like to see him go United, but at the same time, I'd rather just put that money in for a midfielder than another forward.
I mean, he's meant to have attitude, anger, something like that, Damon problems. People have mentioned that a few times about him. And like Jay says, we need a midfielder. How doable do you think it could be?
I agree with you in terms of that we need a midfield first. But, you know, I do think there's an opportunity there to take Antony. And I think if we want to save him from United's grasps, I mean, we don't want him to, you know, if he wants to let his career go down the drain, then go that way. But he needs another option, doesn't he? That's the problem with him. Is at the moment it's either United or stay at Ajax. It's not really a good option, is it? So yeah, I think Liverpool can get the deal done. I don't think this summer we'll get. We've been told that we'll not signing anyone this summer, so I'm not even in faith to sign a midfielder this summer. We need a midfielder more than Antony. Next summer, there's a chance, but I do want him personally. I do want him because of his age and I think the height he can reach is quite high, especially under Klopp.
Do you think he'd wait another summer though?
And what's that? Sorry.
Do you think he'll wait another year at Ajax?
He could do. I think it's one of them ones they could get a deal done now, a pre-contract, you know, like we do with Keita. But we've been wanting that for Bellingham. We're still not getting anything, so it's hard to say with this club.
I mean, Jay, he does play on the right, I think it is. The right side. It's the competition for Salah that he's never really had, which could then drive him onto even more scary levels. We've seen it happen with, you could argue, Mane. When Diaz came in, Mane's level went up again. Post-January, Robertson, Tsimikas, both work each other to new levels. It is a perfect position that we probably do need as well as a midfielder, isn't it?
It is, and you've just hit the nail on the head there. Every time you bring a player in who's just as good quality as the one who's in his position, it does make you raise your level. Few people last season were on Robbo's back, and then Tsimikas started the first 4 or 5 games because of injury. Everyone loves Tsimikas, and then Robbo had to up his game to get back onto the side. And like you've just said, mate, when Luis Diaz come in, before Mane got back from AFCON, he had like a terrible 18 months for me. For his level, for what he's capable of, I thought he was a shadow of the player for 18 months. Whether winning AFCON gave him that boost, or the fact Diaz came in and Jota was already, he carried us through January. Whether that's what got him into that form, I don't know. But I just think always having a player behind you where you know, I've got to be at my best here or I'm not on the side, that can never hurt. And that's why United dominated the 90s, because they had players that if you didn't start the drop off, there wasn't one. The next player was quality, and that's what you see at City now. So yeah, and like, you know, if we're happy to throw money about, then yeah, I'm not going to say no to Antony. Of course I wouldn't. He's young. He looks like he could be a world-class player, but I just think with where we are, if we're saying we're not signing midfielders, I don't see how you're signing wingers when that's probably maybe our strongest position, except for centre-half.
I mean, looking at his stats here, Damon, he's one of the best in the world for assists in his position. He's bringing that level of creativity in as well. I mean, even his passing stats, they're all in the 90th percentile. He's ranking against best players in the world in his position and holding his own against them, really. The only thing that worries me is pressures. He's only averaging 13 per game, where Liverpool players average like 50, 60. I haven't seen much of him. I don't know if you have yourself. Is he a lazy player?
Not really. No, I think Ajax do play quite similar to Liverpool, so they do need to pressure. But I think he ain't going to come into Liverpool to be, you know, a starter anyway, straight onto the pitch. So it's not like we're expecting that off him straight away. He's got time to develop. He's 22 years old here, and who better to play behind than Mohamed Salah? Who better to learn off than Mohamed Salah? You know, he's the best right winger in the world, and he plays quite similar to him. Where he plays, you know, he's quite direct. Makes runs at the full back, and he likes to cut inside and shoot as well. A little bit like Ziyech, but more direct than Ziyech. suits most of the time. He is quite like Salah in terms of that. So if United were to get Antony, I would be quite fearful because they'd have a pretty decent winger combination there with him and Sancho. So, Jay's completely spot on about the pressure for Salah as well, the competition of Salah. That's what it needs, because at the end of the day, we're not buying players to sit on the bench. We don't want to buy players. This little rumour that goes around, fans saying like, "Oh, he will only want to be on the bench. You don't want to be on the bench. You won't come to Liverpool to be on the bench." He's not coming to be on the bench. He's coming to give Salah competition. Diaz and Jota came to give Mane competition. Tsimikas came. Look at Grealish at City. Grealish has not signed for City. I know it's 100 million, but he's not signed for City to be on the bench. He's signed for City to give them competition and show that he's capable of doing that. I think Antony could do the same with Salah. And 22 years old, a similar age to Trent as well. That could be a deadly duo for the next 10 years.
Do you know what you've got to remember about them pressure stats, by the way, as well, is Ajax have the ball constantly. Yeah. Like Ajax and PSV are such a cut above from the rest of the teams in that league that you don't have to press that. And it sounds stupid, but you don't have to press because you've got the ball like 90% of the game. So
I think you'll see the better stats for the Champions League, wouldn't you? You'd see the better stats for the Champions League for the pressures.
Yeah, it'd be more effective just because, like I say, like honestly, when you watch the Dutch league, you're just waiting for Ajax to score. That's all you're doing. That's all you're waiting for.
It's just going off FB ref, which takes both into account. Like, I mean, his stats, the rest of his stats are frightening. Like his passing stats all in the 90th percentile, his goal and shot creations, his possession stats, his aerial duels and stuff like that. He is ranking really high. He wants to, like, United want him. Jay, surely if Liverpool come in, I mean, there's loads of comments here. There's plenty of people and even fans who are talking about him. Ollie wants him. Manuel wants him. Ollie makes a point again. He's a good upgrade on Minamino.
It's a massive upgrade on Minamino. Fucking hell.
Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, Jay, have always said that we're always in the market for the right player at the right place. Now, I believe if Bellingham was on the market now, we'd have him. If Antony is on the market, is he the right player? Well, yeah, he's 22. He's that exciting, and he probably could be the long-term heir to Salah. He's within our age bracket. He's got a sell-on value if we wanted to sell him in 5 years. He's in his prime. You could probably sell him for more than what you've paid for him. And like I said, right player, right price. That's what Liverpool always say.
Yeah, he's one of them players. I think there's certain players where you think if Klopp had him, he could turn him into something dangerous, and Antony is one of them type of players. To be fair, I think Klopp could take him to a stupid level because he's got massive ability. And to be fair, yeah, like you said, if the right player's there at the right time, we need a centre mid. We know Bellingham's a priority, so he hasn't gone for no one else. But to be fair, the second priority probably is back up for Salah because there is no one. I don't really like Diaz on the right. I don't like Jota on the right. You wouldn't put Bobby there. You wouldn't put Nunes there. So really, Salah's got a free run at that position, except for Elliott. I don't think Elliott's ready to take Salah out the team yet. I am impressed with Elliott, but I don't think he's in a position to be challenging Salah properly yet on that wing in terms of goals and stuff like that anyway. So that probably would be the next priority, lad. So yeah, if he is available and he is a player that we want, then we should definitely go for him if that's the price, because it's not a bad price given his age and Champions League experience, things like that.
I'm going to put questions to both of you. I'll put it to you first, Damon. If Liverpool brought Antony in another midfielder, would you be annoyed?
I'll be annoyed anyway because I do think we need a midfielder. Even though I do love Antony, I just think the midfielder thing, we've been missing a midfielder for 2 years now. And it's constant excuses. I mean, this week we've seen Ox get injured again. And who could have seen that? You could have seen that with your eyes closed. So even Steve Wonder was seeing that come on. Saw that come in. So we need a midfielder. There's no point having eight midfielders that people are saying, we've got 8 midfielders, but they're not good. They're not good enough. Ox is injury prone. Keita's injury prone. Henderson's going down. Thiago's not the most reliable person in terms of injuries. And he's one of our best midfielders, and him and Fabinho. And then after that, it's youngsters, and we can't put that sort of pressure on youngsters. If we miss Thiago and Fabinho for longer than 4 or 5 games, we could be in trouble because we can't rely on those youngsters to step up like that and to really fight for the title and Champions League. It's not really fair on them. So yeah, I will be annoyed because we need a midfielder much more. But it'd be a little cushion blow, wouldn't it, to get Antony?
Yeah, I agree with that. What you, Jay?
The kid in me would say, yeah, I'll be happy because it's 2 high-profile signings. But if I'm using my brain, I'd say no. We do need a centre midfielder, and I'm not saying we need Berella or Bellingham. They are obviously your first choice. Someone who comes straight in the 11. And everyone keeps saying, like, oh, we wait for the perfect player. You can't tell me that someone like Tielemans or Ruben Neves or Ward-Prowse isn't an improvement on Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain. You can't tell me that. Like, I'm not asked what anyone says. 35 million for Tielemans and you've got Keita in your side and Oxlade-Chamberlain. It makes no sense to me. It genuinely... He's been sat there waiting for a move for, 4 months? Arsenal and United are meant to be interested in him. If Liverpool even sniff near him, he'll run here in his bare feet. It's a fact, mate. He'd do anything to play for us compared to the teams he's linked with. So 35 mil for a player like him just isn't a risk. He's 24. He's a Belgian international. If in a year we go, you know what, he's a stopgap, which I don't believe he would be, then sell him. If you want to get the money back anyway. So, like, it's not as if he's a poor player. He's not. He's a very good player. So it sort of annoys me, this narrative of, oh, we should only wait for the one player. Why? If there's players who can improve your team and they're valuable and it makes sense, do it. And I think both Neves and Tielemans fall in that bracket. They both play for teams who play good football as well. Wolves play footy. Leicester play footy. It's not like you're signing someone from Burnley or something like that. You're signing players who can play at that level. They're both internationals as well for top teams, Portugal and Belgium. So I'd like us to move for one of them if we're not going to get one of the big signings we hear about. I don't understand why not.
See, why can't we get someone like Tielemans and then still get Bellingham next season? That's what
I'm saying. I don't understand that. I don't understand why it has to be a perfect signing when I don't care what anyone says. Them 2 players improve our midfield. They do.
Klopp wants stopgap signs, though. I think every player gets his go ahead. So would he want to sign, and who he may think, yeah, I'll sell him in a year.
But does he want Ox?
He's very loyal, isn't he? But it's like he's too loyal sometimes.
Yeah. The Ox thing gets me more than anything, just because of the way Klopp treated him last season. He didn't even hardly give him a chance. There were times where he wanted him in the squad, and he looked at the youngsters before he did Ox. I don't think he wants Ox. I think that's the board not wanting to sell Ox, knowing that they're not going to get the money that would get another midfield, if that makes sense. They don't want to put towards. I don't think they want to put any money towards. If we sell Ox for 10 million, they don't want to put 25 million towards to get Tielemans. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just
the thing is
proper deep pockets. It's just stupid. There's going to be teams out there that want Ox. People say, well, he's injured, who'd want him? Brighton bought Lallana. Lallana basically worked in the hospital at one point. So there's teams out there that will buy Ox. Don't ever be fooled by that.
Yeah. I mean,
the thing is with the... Go on, sorry, lad.
Ali's got my thinking. Harvey Elliott mainly played as a central midfielder for Liverpool in the first team, hasn't he? Like the start of last season when he was unbelievable. He's a centre mid. If you go and get Antony now, so United and that don't get him, and he is going to be competition to Salah, that's right wing focused at least for the next 3 years because Salah's got a 3-year deal. Harvey Elliott then hones his talents in central midfield. I think if he's fit, he's arguably one of our best midfield options anyway. So then you've got that midfielder this season because you haven't got Elliott out all year, and then you can wait for Jude Bellingham. I don't know if that makes you change your mind a little bit, Jay.
It's not that, lads. I'm not saying about signing a stopgate, and when I'm saying you could sell Tielemans in a year, I wouldn't do that. I'm just saying if it wouldn't work out. My point of it is, he is a better option than Oxlade-Chamberlain and Keita, regardless of whether Elliott does that job. If you're talking about a squad, Tielemans is a better player than both of them. So you're still improving your team. He's not a stopgap because he's better than what you've got. A stopgap is bringing in Phillips for City. He's not bringing them nothing new. Well, he's taking Fernandinho's position, but Rodri's going to start there every single time.
with them getting rid of Bernardo, though, they're maybe going to a 4-2-3-1 and they'll play Rodri and Phillips in a double pivot. Because
I think it's mad they're selling him.
Yeah, I can't get my head around why they're selling Bernardo Silva.
It's not that, lad. It's his work rate as well. Do you know, like, as good as he is on the ball and all, like, his work rate's ridiculous. Have you seen his pressing stats?
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
Oh, mate, it's one of the highest in, like, Europe. Like, his work rate and his ability to get it. I'd never sell him if I was City. I wouldn't be selling him. No chance.
80 mil.
I think that's a bargain. I honestly think that's a bargain for him. I hate him as a person. He's a rat. But he's a top player. He's a boss player. But that's what I mean, like, when I'm saying stopgap. Can't even think of the word. Stopgap. It's not if it's improving what you've got. And him and Neves are better than Keita and better than Oxlade-Chamberlain. So I don't think they're stopgap signings. I think they improve your squad, which is the whole point in signing a player, is to improve your squad.
Yeah, well, we have been linked to a midfielder, Damon. Very strong chances of signing Matheus Nunes from Sporting Lisbon. I've heard a few talks myself on this about we are definitely interested and we reckon we can get him for around 30 mil. He is only 23. Would you be happy with him? Because a signing like that makes me think that's coming in and Bellingham next year, but that's for now.
That's exactly what I want. If we can't get Bellingham this summer, then someone like that is perfect because we're still improving on what we've got now over like Ox and Keita and Jones, but we're still wanting our number one target and we're still keeping that option open. You know, if we get someone like Barella, then maybe that Bellingham door could shut. But if we're getting Nunes, it's better for this season and still improving next season with Bellingham. So that would be a perfect signing for me. I'd be all for that.
He's been averaging an assist every 3 games in that league, Jay. Apparently, he's Sporting's best player. Can we really go and take the 3 biggest clubs, 3 best players in one? In fact, 1.5 windows.
You may as well finish the job, mate. You might go for the hat-trick. No one wants a brace. You want to score a hat-trick, don't you? So, always good age, mate, and that's the type of player we need. You know, an assist every 3 games. That's where we lack in midfield is creativity. We rely on Thiago massively, and obviously most of our assists come from the wing backs. I get that, but it's always good to have a midfielder who can play a killer pass, which it's too few and far between with the midfielders we've got at the minute. And people always throw Henderson's assist against United at me. 2 clips in a year is not good enough. You know, it's not. I could throw you 5 of them clips a game for De Bruyne. Yeah, I'm not dissing Henderson, but you need a bit of better creativity in your midfield, which maybe might be Elliot or Carvalho this year, if they get more games. But if not, then yeah, I'd like to shore up the midfield a bit more and then wait for that big one next year, hopefully.
I mean, he is literally ranking as one of the best in the world in his position for assists. Anyway, Jay, so adding that into our midfield.
No brainer in it, lad, especially at his age and that. So, yeah, I'd be. This one looks like it's got a bit more traction as well. Like there might be some truth behind it. So, I hope there is, especially now. I think the fact Oxlade has an injury, that's only going to add fuel to all these rumours now anyway, because with a midfielder down, and to be fair, the way he was like slapping the floor, it didn't look like it's going to be a few weeks type of injury. And Ox must know what a serious injury feels like now. He's had that many. He's going to know he's out for a while, do you know what I mean? And that's not even having a swipe at him, it's true.
If it's his hammy, it's like 2 months, isn't it?
There's actually fans happy that we had those 8 options as midfielders. I don't know if they started watching football in the last year or 2, or playing FIFA or something, where Ox probably don't get injured on FIFA. I don't know if he does or not. I usually sell him out first season, so I won't know what happens to him after that. But yeah, there's actually fans are happy that we had them 8 midfielders, including Ox in there, knowing that Ox gets injured every season. And when he got injured the other day, I was like, what are you actually expecting?
Do you not think people may be looking at it from a standpoint of we reached every final last year and took the leagues the last day of the season with this current midfield?
What if we bought Diaz at the start of the season instead of January? Where do we got to?
I think we would have won the league.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We need to act when we need to act. If we bought a midfielder last summer, if we bought someone like Nunes last summer, would we have won the league? I think we would have.
Yeah, potentially.
And those kind of signings and those kind of moves, a club like Liverpool should be making. There's no excuses.
I mean, looking at him, Damon, he isn't scared to run at players either. He averages 5 dribbles a game and is successful in 3 of them. And that puts him again in the 99th percentile, the best in the world. 4.25 players he dribbles past per 90 minutes. Again, putting him against the best in the world in the 99th percentile. So he's not scared to have an assist, not scared to have a go either, not scared to run at people. That is just literally what Liverpool are missing, isn't it? I know we want Bellingham, but this is the perfect. It could be Bellingham and Nunes for years to come. He is only 23.
I like him a bit to Navigator in terms of what we were bringing in before, because when Navigator played for Leipzig, he was this guy that scored, assisted, ran through the middle of the pitch like it was, it was like a training match half the time. And Cater, just with him, the injuries have killed him off, and we need to move someone like that on, because we can't rely on a player that's injured prone like that. But Nunes would be that perfect replacement for him, and if we can get him in now at that cheap price before he goes somewhere else, because that price ain't going to stay like that for 5 years. There's no chance. I'm going to say now he's going to be like an £80 million player in 5 years.
He's got the potential, hasn't he? And Jay, I think these rumours have ramped up further because Sporting have just brought Trincao in, or they're looking to Trincao in from Barca on loan. So that's his replacement sorted straight away. So it does seem like there's legs to it. 30 mil. What can go wrong? The Ox cost us 35. Context.
Fucking start me on it. It's not that like 30 mil these days. It sounds terrible, obviously, like the way it is and that, but 30 mil isn't even a big transfer anymore, mate. That used to be like a marquee signing. Well, what, 2008-ish, around then, that was a marquee signing. It's not now. 30 million is just like it's seen as a bargain if it turns out a decent player. His age and the stature said in that, yeah, like you'd be all over him. It's exactly the type of midfielder that we need, and maybe Klopp has looked at it as well. Where I've got this injury and thought, you know what, like I can't rely on what I've got here. I'm probably going to need one more face in. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if we do actually go for him. Like you said as well, if we get him in Bellingham next year, then that's your midfield sort of an aging midfield suddenly all of a sudden looks young and promising again just by getting 2 players.
Get Nunes in, Damon. Is that a successful window if we only bring him in and no one else now?
Yeah, it is to a certain extent, I think. It's not the perfect window, is it? I mean, we still need a Salah backup. I still think we need 2 midfielders personally, but because I don't think Henderson's got it anymore, and Thiago is just the best midfielder, one of the best midfielders in the world, but he's just too injured prone to him to miss out and then bring in someone else in. The drop off's too big. So I would personally believe another right wing and 2 midfielders would be perfect, but you know, we're hardly going to get anyone at this rate with this club. So all I can do is cross my fingers. But Nunes coming in, it's okay. It's not perfect. I'd say it's a successful one just because we actually.
What makes it perfect for you then? Jude Bellingham or Antony?
Both.
I don't want much, Damon.
I know, yeah.
Hey, I'm starved. Absolutely starved of good transfers.
Well, UJ, have we brought Nunes in? Is that a successful window with nobody else bringing in now?
I'd be happy, to be honest, because we've addressed the right back situation by signing Ramsey. That was a big one. Because when Trent's out, Nico demands him or nothing like that. But I think we need someone who can actually play week in, week out, that you're not asked about coming in. You're happy for them to come in. So we addressed that. Nunes, I don't think any of us were expecting that. So that was a nice surprise. And then if we do bring a central midfielder in, that's what I wanted. It might not be Barella, it might not be Bellingham, but I'm sure the scouts have done the work. And yeah, I'd say that's a pretty successful window, to be honest. I know what Liverpool are like. We're never going to sign 5 or 6 players in one window. It'd be nice, of course it would, bringing in Antony, Bellingham and Nunes and the other Nunes, but it isn't footy manager, and even clubs who do that, Liverpool aren't one of them. So Yeah, I'd be happy, to be honest, if we got one more in midfield. I think it'd be a decent window. What about you?
I think if we brought him in, it's a successful window, because I mean, I've seen a few comments saying like Sange, Nunes, and Antony. Who's just said that? That basically sorts out our depth for the next 10 years. I don't think Liverpool will do that in one window, but I'm annoyed because I feel like we would have brought Darwin Nunes in still had we got Tchouaméni as well.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, where's this 70 million gone? Why can't we just go to Dortmund and add another 10 million and go, here's 80 million, give us Bellingham? If you go in with an £80 million offer, they're probably going to be tempted. So if we had the money there for Tchouaméni, why can't we do it for Bellingham? That's what's doing me head in. But if we brought Nunes in and we did get Bellingham next year, then I'd be happy with Nunes now, because then that allows, when Thiago's not playing or Henderson, it allows Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott minutes. And I think the drop off to Harvey Elliott especially isn't as much as what we may think. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, he looks quality. He looks sharp in pre-season as well. Klopp keeps saying as well he was our best player start of last season. To be fair, he probably was. So if we can get back to that, then yeah, you'd be laughing.
This is a good comment as well. Damon, Milner's last season as a player in the squad. If he's probably is going to go this year, whether he goes to a coach next year or whatever. Replacing Milner with Jude Bellingham's replacing another homegrown talent in your squad for 10 years. So it takes another. You replace some one longevity with potentially another longevity, aren't you? If you did get someone like Bellingham in next year.
Definitely, that'd be perfect. That would be the perfect replacement for Milner. But I can't understand why Milner's still here, though. I love the guy. Honestly, I love the guy to bits. But when you can get a free bus pass and still play for Liverpool, it's something's not right. I don't know if Klopp has him in his will or something like that. Something's not right for him to.
I think in these pre-season games, though, he's looked sharp.
He's looked boss, lad. You know what I was just going to say? He's looked like one of the sharpest players.
But when it comes to shove and he comes in those games, I still have nightmares about that City game when he played at right back, and he got torn a new one. Honestly, it's just sentimentality again. Keeping players here for sentimentality, and I just don't believe it. I don't believe it, and we're just accepting that sort of thing. If you look back at the years of Premier League and look at United teams and the Chelsea teams, as soon as a player got older, obviously Giggs went to midfield, but as soon as he got older enough to not play right in midfield, he was off. They didn't keep him on. They didn't keep Rooney on. For what did he go? About 31, 30? He didn't last that long, did he?
No.
So, but we seem to have the same. De Bruyne tweeted something out earlier where it was a squad. I don't know if it was like 6-7 years ago. At City, he had the whole squad, and it was just him left, him highlighted. If Liverpool did that, we'd have about 10 players still here. About 10 highlights of the players still here, and I find that absolutely mad.
I mean, Milner is on a lot more reduced. I like Milner there just for his head in the dressing room. I don't think he's on that much money anymore. He did take a reduction. He's probably on a pay-as-you-play deal, maybe. But something that's just caught my eye there is that Nunes. He's a right-footed, so it makes me think. I've been looking into it, and Bellingham plays more on the left. He's Thiago's replacement. I think that's why we're happy to wait. But Nunes plays on the right, and that's probably our weakest side of central midfield.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
There must be legs to this.
Is this Thiago's last year on the field, by the way? Didn't we only give him a 3?
He's got one more.
Has he got one more?
Yeah,
because he's not going to get anything after that, is he? No likeliness.
Well, that's why I think bringing Bellingham in next year makes more sense for Liverpool, in a sense of he's got a year to learn off Thiago, probably.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
And then this Nunes has got now where he's coming in. I think has he got 1 or 2 more years? Because there was an option in his contract. Does it run out at the end of this year? And
was it 3, wasn't it? Didn't he sign 3?
I think it was 3, yeah.
With an additional optional year, I think. Fucking hell, he must be about 40 then, like.
So this Nunes comes in, then he's got 2 years to learn from Hendo.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I think he'd take
over. You want anyone learning off Thiago, though? Like, Thiago's just a different kettle, I think, honestly. I think he's just levels at other people. He plays footy like snooker and golf, where, your next 5 shots, he's he's different level Thiago. So any young player you're bringing in, I'd want him to have as much time with Thiago as possible. I'd have Trent learning off Thiago, not because I want Trent to move into midfield, just because they're both ridiculous passes of the ball. So, just to learn little things off each other that you wouldn't maybe necessarily know, because I think Trent's one of the most underrated players in the world. You know what I really do? I think the stuff he does with the ball is just ridiculous, and people don't talk about it enough. Some of the passes he makes, mate, honest to God, the PlayStation passes. Honestly, they are. Like, there's nothing else outside foot curlers that just fall to you. Mate, he's ridiculous. One of the best passes I've ever seen. Ever.
Unbelievable.
Just saying.
Thiago's like prime Ronnie O'Sullivan, isn't he? Back in the day when he has that long hair down there, and he used to just cruise around the table, didn't he, Ronnie O'Sullivan? He used to cruise on the table, switched it to left hand and things like that. That's how Thiago plays football. He plays with such swagger, and it's such a good to watch. I know he's not just an eye merchant though. He backs it up on the pitch, and he creates some brilliant chances. So Thiago's a hard
ridiculous. He's ridiculous, Thiago.
So I think he's one of the best midfielders I've seen play for us, probably since Gerrard and Alonso, being honest.
He's like someone that you pay to watch him. Like, I'd watch him, just watch him. That's the way top player.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll leave it there for tonight because it's a hot one. We're back tomorrow for another stream, and then we're on watch-alongs throughout the whole of pre-season. So do leave a like and subscribe if you're new around here. We've got loads of content, loads of individual videos coming out. I've got one about why Bellingham's a left centre mid, not a right centre mid, which is quite statistically interesting. So do give a subscribe for that. Nice one for Damon and Jay, as always, and so everyone in the comments for the interaction. We've been LFC Transfer Room.